aka Lord Last Hearth here. I don't usually make review or theory videos on my channel, but this topic has been a very popular topic on the interweb and other YouTube channels. I want to start off by saying that I've been guilty in the past of criticizing the logic and the way the story seems to be rushed, in particular with Season 7. Don't get me wrong, this is still the best TV show on television today, in my opinion. There are many ways in where Game of Thrones, as a television show, has achieved great success, and this review is not in any way an attempt to shit on those achievements. When it comes to CGI and the visuals that the show entails are hands down the best I've seen in television. Hands down. One of the things I was skeptical about in the beginning was the way that the dragons were going to be depicted. In my opinion, the dragons in Game of Thrones are the best depictions of dragons I've seen in television, let alone in movies. The way that the show has depicted the other slash White Walkers, I honestly couldn't complain. The way the show has laid out the beginnings and motives of the other slash White Walkers, I think could have been more detailed when it comes to their beginnings. As to their motives, we still have time for these to pan out. The one thing that stood out to me that lit a fire under my ass to do this video was something that Preston Jacobs had said on a video this week. The main problem, in my opinion, with the show this season in particular is the violation of in-universe logic. One of the main comments that are thrown back at me whenever I make a comment on how something in the show went against logic is, what do you expect? It's a fantasy show. Look, I understand that it's a fantasy show, but any show that has made it to a seventh season in the story is going to have its own universe logic. People also tend to make the argument that how can you talk about something not being logical but not say anything about the dragons flying around? And they would have a point if this was season 1, episode 1, because being a new show, you're going to naturally be more open minded to the direction of the story. But when it comes to Game of Thrones, we're not watching a new show with a new story. The Ice and Fire books aside, we've already watched a story that has surpassed 76 episodes. When you lay out a foundation of universal logic, the smart thing to do would be at least keep on the same path of said universal logic. The directors and fanboys who think that no one in their right mind should ever criticize this masterpiece of a show, and like I said before, it is a masterpiece of a show in many ways. But in one way it's not, is in the way the show is going against its own universe logic. At the past at the fast pace that the show is going in order to come to an end, the show has been constantly breaking this logic as it comes to the finale of season 7. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that this was the worst episode ever. It definitely lacks in comparison with other second to last episodes of prior seasons. In prior seasons, episode 9 has been the episode that turns everything upside down. And I know what many people will say. Well, how did it not compare to other episode 9s of prior seasons? The Night King has taken one of Dany's dragons. And to that, I would say, you're right. But other than that, what do we have? What we have is the little brother to the Hard Home episode of season 5. Episodes 9s of prior seasons have, in my opinion, been some of the best television I have ever seen. What also hurt this episode was the hype involved in the lead up to this episode. And this is where I go back to the seemingly rush pace that is this season has been on. And with the rush pace comes the going against your own universe logic in order to bring certain characters slash stories to an end. So in ending this video, I do think this is the worst. Do I think this is the worst episode ever? No. I try not to determine my favorite television show of all time in that manner. What I will say is that the episode didn't meet the level of prior episode 9s that have come before. There were parts of the episode that I really enjoyed and parts I thought that could have been better. All in all, it doesn't take away how hype I will be for the finale and how I will be in a state of withdrawal waiting for season 8. And with that, this is Lord of Last Earth signing off. Later, everyone.